Hello, 7th graders. This is Miss White, and today we're going to be doing the problem set virtually in class. So right now what you need to have is a pencil, a calculator, and some graph paper. Go ahead and pause this video if you need these supplies right now. Great. Now that you have your supplies, we're going to do problem sets 12 and 13 today. So we're first going to start out with number 1 from problem set 12. Use the diagram below to create a scale drawing using a scale factor of 133 1/3%. Write numerical equations to find the horizontal and vertical distances in the scale drawing. So we have never dealt with a fraction and a percent before. And so that's okay that we haven't, but I'm going to show you how to go about it by using this example. Since our scale factor is 133 over 1/3%, we need to change this to a whole value. But first, let's think about percent. What does percent mean? Well, we know that percent means out of 100. So when we write this percent in fraction form, technically we have 133 1/3 over 100. Now to get these to be whole numbers, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply 1/3 by its reciprocal. The reciprocal of 1/3 is going to be 3. So we're going to multiply our top by 3 and our bottom by 3. So when we have 1/3 times 3, that's going to give us 1. Then we know that 133 times 3 is going to give us 399. So we know that 399 plus 1 is going to give us 400 as our numerator. Then 100 times 3, well, that's 300. Sorry, again, I guess my dogs just think it's the best time to have playtime while I'm trying to record videos. So there's that. Now, to find our scale factor, we can still simplify 400 and 300 by 100. And so this is going to give us 4/3. Now we want to find the horizontal distance and the vertical distance. So for our horizontal distance here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to take our 9 and multiply it by 4/3. Now, when we multiply fractions, we know to make our whole number a fraction, we can put a 1 underneath of it. So now we're going to multiply our numerators, 9 times 4, which is 36. And now our denominators, 1 times 3, which is 3. And 36 divided by 3 is going to give us 12. So now when we create our horizontal part in our scale drawing, we're going to go over 12 units. Now, this is when you're going to want to use your graph paper. I have a little section of graph paper right here that you need to copy down. Now we know that horizontally, our picture is going to be 12 units long. But when we look at our picture, what does this look like? Well, it looks like a pitchfork. So here we're going to need to find the distance of the forks and then the handle. We have our vertical forks and then our vertical handle. Now our forks are going to be 3 units here. Set up this equation. We're going to have 3 times 4/3. And then for our vertical handle, we're going to count how long this is. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to have 6 times 4/3. Now let's go ahead and solve our equations. So I have 3 times 4/3. And here we can use cross multiplication. And so now we know that this is going to equal 4 because 3 divided by 3 gives us 1 and 1 times 4 is 4. Then for our vertical handle, again, when we have a whole number, we can put a 1 underneath of it to multiply for our denominator. So when we multiply our numerators, we have 6 times 4, which is 24. And our denominators, 1 times 3, which is 3. And 24 divided by 3 is going to give us 8 units. So now we know how to create our scale drawing. Our handle is going to be 8 units long. So let's go ahead and draw 8 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think. Yep, that is correct. And then we are going to have our horizontal piece as 12. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. And then our forks are going to be 4 units long. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. If you haven't finished, go ahead and pause the video to finish your work. We are going to move on to number 2. So number 2 says create a scale drawing of the original drawing given below by using a horizontal scale factor of 80% and a vertical scale factor of 175%. Write numerical equations to find the horizontal and vertical distances. So here is our original drawing, and then we're going to draw our scale drawing on the graph paper that you should have in front of you. Now we need to look at the horizontal scale factor here. So our horizontal scale factor is equal to 80%. Well, how can we write 80% in decimal form? If we bring over the decimal twice, that's going to give us 0.08, known as 8/10. Now, we need to figure out how long our new scale factor's length is going to be by using our percent. So let's go ahead and count how many units are there horizontally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 15 units from the total horizontal length and I'm going to multiply it by 0.8. Go ahead and do that in your calculator for me. All right, and your answer is going to be 12 units. Now we got to find out what is going to be the horizontal segment length. That means we want to find the length of this. Okay, so let's go ahead and count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, I'm glad that Miss White can count. Okay, so I'm going to have this as the horizontal length, I guess, or maybe we should call it the segment length. And we know that there's 10 units here, and so we're going to multiply that by 0.8. Now 10 times 0.8 is going to give us 8 units. So when we draw this again, we're going to have 8 units here. And then finally our vertical. Now our vertical has a different percentage here. Okay, so our vertical scale factor equals to 175%. How can I put this in decimal form? Well, I'm going to take my decimal and move it over twice, and that's going to give me 1.75. So now to find the total vertical, I need to count how many units I have from the top to the bottom. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now for my vertical scale factor, I'm going to have 8 times 1.75. Go ahead and plug that into your calculator. And the answer you should have got is 14. By looking at your graph paper, we're going to go ahead and draw this. We know that our vertical is 14. And to find the midpoint right here, we need to divide that by 2, which is going to give us 7. So let's go ahead and count down here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so I'm going to draw a little dot there just to mark that that's my center. And then I'm also going to do that on the other side as well. Let's go ahead and look at our green first, our segment length. It is going to be 8 units. So when I count to 7 in the middle here, I know that I'm going to have 4 on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And I'm also going to do the same thing on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Yep. Okay. So make sure that you, on your graph paper, since it's a little bit different than mine and you have so many more units, to just pick a spot and label it for number 2 and keep drawing it off the length. If you feel like it might help you to draw a box that's 14 by 14 like mine shown in here, go ahead and do it. Okay, and then finally our red is going to be the amount or the total of the segment. And we kind of know that that's going to be the total of the segment on the edges, okay, because this is going to finally make our whole horizontal unit 12, okay. Now all we need to do is connect our greens and our blues here. Okay. Okay. And there is our scale drawing. Apparently my dog is very sad that this problem is done, and also that this problem set is done. If you would like more practice at home for a potential quiz coming up, please complete number 3. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started on problem set 13. So go ahead and turn to page 85. Yep, 85. And we are going to get started on number 1. The scale factor from drawing 1 to drawing 2 is 41 2/3%. Justify why drawing 1 is a scale drawing of drawing 2 and why it is an enlargement of drawing 2. Include the scale factor in your justification. Now that we know that drawing 2 is 41 2/3%, that means that drawing 1 is going to be represented by 100%. Now, to find the justification for it, we're going to use our favorite formula, which is quantity equals percent times whole. What we want to find here is the percent. And you might be like, well, Miss White, we already have a percent. Yes, but we want to use a percent to understand if it's and why it's an enlargement. Now, what you might think is that our whole is going to be our drawing 1. But actually, our whole is going to be drawing 2 because it says it's going to drawing 2. So drawing 2 is going to be our whole. And then our quantity is going to be drawing 1. Great. So here we know that drawing 1, we can write D1 equals percent times our whole, which is drawing 2. Okay, now remember that we're just using D1 and D2 to represent what we're going to be substituting in. We know that for drawing 1, we have 100%, and for drawing 2, we have 41 2/3%. Now another way to get our fraction maybe into decimal form is to divide it on our calculator. So go ahead and put 2 divided by 3. Okay. And the answer you should have got was 0.666 repeating, and that's fine. We can do 0.6 repeating percent. And then we need to get P by itself. So to get P by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 41.66. And I know that here I'm going to get 1p, and then I have 100 divided by 41.66. Go ahead and calculate that in your calculator. All right, when we get our answer, let's round it to the nearest hundredths. So I'm going to have 2.40. And when I write this in decimal form, I'm going to take my decimal and move it 2 places over. And now I'm going to get 240%. Now, how do we know if it's an enlargement compared to drawing 2? Obviously, we can see that drawing 1 is larger than drawing 2, but because it's 240% and our percentage is over 100, that means that it is an enlargement. Let's go on to number 3. Tracy took a photograph and printed it to be a size of 4 units by 4 units as indicated in the diagram. She wanted to enlarge the original photo to a size of 5 units by 5 units and 10 units by 10 units. So let's go ahead and sketch the best we can to these different photos. So here we can have a little bit bigger photo here, and this is going to be 5 by 5. And then we almost want like twice as big. I don't think that's going to happen, but we can pretend. And we're going to have 10 by 10. I hope your squares are better than Miss White's. Okay, now let's move on to B. What was the scale factor from the original photo to the photo that is 5 units by 5 units? So it wants us to go from this photo to this one. To find the scale factor, we have to take the 5 by 5 enlargement, and we know that that's going to be 5 over 4. And when we write that in decimal form, we're gonna get 1.25, and then when we write this as a percent, it's 125%. Okay. Now let's do C. What was the scale factor from the original photo to the photo that is 10 by 10 units? Well, now when we go to the 10 by 10 units, we're going to have 10 over 4. Go ahead and calculate this in your calculator. We're going to get 2.5. And when we get this as a percent, it's going to be 250%. So we just did this one. Now we want to go from the 5 by 5 to the 10. So here I'm going to have 10 over 5. And 10 divided by 5 gives us 2. When we write this as a decimal, it's going to give us 200%. Let's skip E and we're going to move on to number 4. Okay. The scale factor from drawing 1 to drawing 2 is 30%. Then the scale factor from drawing 1 to drawing 3 is 175%. What are the scale factors of each given relationship? Then answer the question that follows. The drawings are not to scale. All right, so here we know that our number 1 spaceship is going to be our 100%. A, we're going to look at drawing 2 to drawing 3. When we go to a drawing, that means that it's going to represent the value we want to go to, and in our problem, that means it's also going to be as our numerator. Okay, then the drawing that we're coming from, which is drawing 2, will be our denominator. So go ahead and let's try to simplify this. What is the greatest common factor of 175 and 30? Well, that's going to be 5. So 175 divided by 5 is going to give us 35. And then 30 divided by 5 is going to give us 6. Okay. Now we need to turn this into a mixed number. How many times does 6 go into 35? Well, that is 5 times. We have 5 left over, and then 6 still stays as our denominator. Now, to figure this out as a percent, we need to first find what is 5 divided by 6 to put it in decimal form. So I'm going to have 5.5 divided by 6. And 5 divided by 6 is going to give us 83 repeating. And let's just keep it 0.83. We'll round to the nearest hundredth. And so when we write this as a percent, we are going to get 583%. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and do B. So we're going to go from drawing 3 to drawing 1. So drawing 1 is going to be my 100%, which is my numerator. 2, drawing 3, which is 175%. Now we can simplify this, and a greatest common factor that both of these have is 25. So we can simplify them by 25. 100 divided by 25 is going to give us 4, and 175 divided by 25 is going to give us 7. Okay. Again, go ahead and put this into your calculator. We want to round to the nearest hundredth, and we are going to get 0.75. And when we write this as a percent, we're going to get 57%. All right, now let's do drawing 3 to drawing 2. Now my numerator is going to be drawing 2, which is my 30%, and my denominator is going to be drawing 3, which is 175%. Let's go ahead and simplify. We can simplify both of these numbers by 5. 30 divided by 5 is going to give us 6, and 175 divided by 5 is going to give us 35. So now go ahead and plug this into your calculator. We went around to the nearest hundredths, and that's going to give us 0.17, so 17 hundredths. And when we write this as a percent, we're going to get 17%. All right, that concludes our lesson for today. Please make sure that you have all of your notes written down in your note packet. I will be checking your note packet next time you are in class for your video watching grade for this assignment. All right, see you guys later.